Hello, and welcome to Olive Garden. Can I tempt you with some breadsticks or red wine? I'm just kidding. Look at how I look right now. The hair is coiffed. Like, what is this? And the shirt buttoned all the way up. I'm just kidding. Anywho, I wanted to talk about being gay and fabulous. Do you want to talk about it with me, or do you want to click on another video? You can do either. I can't control that. That's fun. So, I was having a conversation with one of my close friends the other day about growing up gay in the late 90s, early millennium when we did, and it was such a sweet spot in time for exactly what was happening with the LGBT movement. It was it felt stagnant, but it wasn't, obviously. We are now way further than I ever assumed we would be in my lifetime, being accepted and gay marriage being legal in all 50 states because of the Supreme Court's ruling last summer. All of these are great things. However, we were specifically talking about that period in time just around the 2000s when my generation of kids were in high school and what it felt like to be gay then, because it's so different already just 16 years later to right now. I remember when I was 15, 2000, it was a time in American pop culture where the only gay icons on TV were Jack from Dawson's Creek or Jack and Will from Will and Grace. No real character that actually gave three-dimensional personalities to a gay character. They were either the slut or the funny one. I mean, there really wasn't much to build on because they weren't people, right? Like, not yet. So it was a really fascinating time because me, just speaking for myself, I was growing up being well aware that I wasn't fitting in with the gender norms for men, but I also wasn't a gender norm for women. I was like, wait, how come I like some feminine things, but I'm a man and I like to be a guy? So what is going on with me? You know, you start to identify as gay because that's the label they give you. When you're 15, you don't know what the fuck you're trying to figure out, right? So I knew that I was different from the straight guys. I didn't want to play football, and I loved going shopping with my mom or my girlfriends and all that stuff. I knew that I wasn't the same. Oh my god, I can't believe I left this buttoned. Okay, anywho, knowing that you're not the same, looking back now, I think helped me to become the person I am just because I grew up without being sold to. I kind of grew up as a free range chicken, if you will. Like the boys I grew up with were told, hey, you love sports, you love football, the NFL, cooking is for girls, don't take home ec, drink beer. And then we had girls growing up with me who were body shamed left and right. I mean, it was the peak advertising era where Photoshop wasn't exactly being called out yet, so these girls were trying to reach these goals of like non-existence. So I knew I was somewhere in the middle of that, but being left out because nobody wanted to sell products to the gays. They didn't realize how marketable that venue was. Well, soon enough they did, but until then, we really grew up kind of unaffected by corporate America. They weren't pigeonholing us as to what we should be. So I kind of grew up free thinking through my teens saying, okay, I can kind of form what I want to be. It just won't be here while I'm stuck in this small town. I can move to a big city and become a guy who loves fashion and wears high heels to work. Like, I didn't give a fuck. I just knew I had to leave where I was. And it was frustrating dealing with that with myself and not having people to talk to. And that's the plight that I took on as a gay teenager in the early 2000s because we didn't have many outlets of people to go talk to. There were really strong individuals who were out in my high school. However, those were the kids that were usually beat up and taunted and teased relentlessly. And I was already the short kid. I didn't need to add gay on top of that. So I didn't want to take on any stressors that I had control over. And also, it really didn't pique my interest in coming out in high school. I grew up in a very small town redneck city. Like, there weren't any other gays that I was remotely interested in. And I knew I wasn't going to want to even date with what gay was at that time under the roof of my family. Like, I just didn't even want to deal with that drama. So I decided that I was going to wait till college, and then I did. And sometimes I look back at that as like, oh man, it would have been nice to come out at like 14 and have a boyfriend in high school and all that stuff. I wish I would have been able to experience that. However, I'm very satisfied looking back and realizing what I did learn, what I was given, the fact that I grew up in a time where nobody put me in a box and said, okay, this is what you do, this is how you act, because people didn't understand. gay people. So we were kind of like, ew, stay away from them. I don't want to deal, right? But that gave me some free time to figure out, what do I like? What do I love? What do I want to fall in love with without being told what to fall in love with by the people I surround myself with or by society as a whole. Like, nobody should feel the need to become what they're told to become. And so that was mainly the topic we were discussing, just how corporate America didn't sell to gay youth in the late 90s, early 2000s, in which I wonder if that almost gives us a stronger identity to ourselves rather than to the label gay. Because even though the label gay helps us realize that we're all united through being diverse, you know, we have lesbians, we have gay men, and then there's the trans community within LGBT, it's a good thing because it helps unite you by being different. However, a label in and of itself is just categorizing you. So the moment you accept to wear a label, you're being pigeonholed by what society imagines that label of people to act like or to do. For example, if you're labeled a gay man, you're automatically effeminate and emasculated. You can't like football and you have to love shopping. It doesn't make sense because I know plenty of gay men who don't love to shop and who love football. So then that was the plight that was tackled, you know, early on in the millennium, and that's where we now came to everybody is emotionally sensitive and everybody's offended by everyone's everything all the time. Like, now we're just in this chaos of, you know, PC bullshit. So we need to find a healthy balance. We need to find a way to accept others, and maybe a step above equality. We all deserve justice. And justice would just mean that all of us not only are treated equally, but the ones who need to be treated a little more than equal should get that so that they're equal, compared to the ones who don't need to be treated equal because they have lots of power or lots of money or lots of influence, so they can come down a couple pegs and we can even shit out. Because honestly, I hate listening to people talk about how the poor or the minority or that the suffering are the strain on the economy or society, when in fact it is the rich and the elitist. And I think it's time that we realize that those people with the power have been wielding it for such a negative reason and influence. They want all minority groups fighting. Why is that? Why not unite through our diversity? Oh, and I just realized I kept my hair that way the whole time. Okay, it was supposed to be a funny bit. Now people are just going to be like, that's how you wear your hair. Anywho, and also if it doesn't look any different, just bypass. We're moving past it. Okay, I'm not a morning person. And that's when these are filmed. Anywho, just touching back on that really quick, I'm curious to hear what everyone else's viewpoints are. If you happen to be early 30s or late 20s, what was it like growing up for you as a gay youth, or not even just gay, but somebody in the queer community? Because it does include a plethora of self-identities. Am I correct? But I'm just curious because there is always the silver lining about the time period you go through your adolescence. I mean, yes, we do realize the bad and we talk about it constantly. Like, you know, it would have been cool had we had more gay characters on TV at that time, or it would have been cool if people accepted gay lifestyles like they do now back then, because then we could have grown up as teenagers seeing, hey, we're normal, we're okay, we're healthy, and we're loved, and we deserve love. And that's really cool for a kid to get to experience, but it's okay in my mind that I didn't feel that all the time. I knew I was different, and I was okay battling my own struggles and realizing that I was going to have to figure out my own path in this world, because people aren't going to take care of you, and they aren't going to coddle you, and you don't deserve to feel safe all the time. That's not what you're here for. You're here to make a difference, and you're here to impact. And the only way that happens is through a struggle. It's through dealing with oppression and injustices that make you a stronger person and help identify you to who you really are and connect you with empathy to everybody else around you, because we're all one. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's getting to a point we're starting to realize it. When we see black people killed on the streets by our own police officers, that is a horrible thing that's happening, just like 60 years ago it used to happen to gay people on the streets. Look at Stonewall in Manhattan, started by black drag queens. They were beaten, and you know, the cops have misused their power many, many times in our past, and minority groups need to realize it is not about fighting for who has the harder struggle. It is about uniting for the cause of that struggle and to get us to a better place. And that's just what we need to do. And I'm curious to know what gay youth coming up right now feels like. Like, are they happy that they see a lot of gay characters on TV? Or are they sad that gay issues being talked about are going right back to 15 years ago about if gays should be allowed to get married? You see a couple Republican candidates running saying they are going to reverse the Supreme Court's decision. I mean, that's insanity. That's unconstitutional. No president who is taking office is saying they're going to reverse progress. Like, that's nuts. And our kids are being raised in an environment to hear that constantly. And what does that show them for leadership? I mean, those are our leaders of the free world. Like, that's who we're projecting. And yet they're sitting there talking about how blacks don't deserve the same rights as white people by allowing murders to happen on the street and injustices to not be taken to our legal system. And then the same with gays, watching rights being voted on again. It's time to stop all of the insanity. It's time to take the lunatics out of office, out of power. It's time to realize when we can no longer have conversations that include everybody's opinion, when there's a portion of that group whose opinion is only to hold us back and to keep us stuck. If we want progress, we need to realize who are the stupid people and why are we listening and taking advice from stupid people. What about democracy needs fixing? Like, let's start talking about some things that can help progress us in the future and not keep us held back to where we have been for so long. I mean, honestly, minority groups should see a safe haven in America. The fact that they don't, the fact that that's not the message of the world is sad, and we need to change that. Us as Americans have to realize we have the power to do that, and we can affect change in this country, which will affect the world. And I think minority groups are the key to that success. I really do. I think us uniting by being diverse and embracing that and coming together and saying we stand with one another, not we are going to be used to tear each other down. But once we get that figured out, I do think we are going to have a huge movement on our hands, and I think it's a great empowering thing, and I think it's something to look forward to. So get this conversation happening within your family, within your friend circles. Talk about minorities and their struggles, and talk about kind of the silver linings that nobody really talks about being a youth in the time period you grew up. Was it something that you could see happening on the outside that didn't have to affect you because you weren't emotionally invested? And that's kind of amazing if you sit back and think about it. Because when you realize you're not emotionally invested in something, let's say an argument with somebody, when they come at you with something and you're not emotionally invested, you're just like, okay, that's it? Like, and you have nothing more? That doesn't hurt. So, like, that's what this is. If we could all just start acting like, okay, you're going to sit here and tell us to hate each other, but you have nothing to go on, what's happening? Are the people with the power a little nervous if we all unite and come at them with some serious issues, some serious injustices that are happening daily on America's streets that we could actually put attention towards? Hashtag Michigan water supply? Oh, I don't know. Maybe we do have real issues to deal with. Anyway, I just wanted to get this opinion out there. Leave comments below. Keep the conversation going. And as always, take care of yourself today. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Peace out.